I'm back, and we're going to talk about today one of my um, all-time favorite cameras. Not because it's really built super skookum or anything like that. Not because it performs like a motherfucker, but just one that means a lot to me. One that I've owned for a while myself. I think this is the camera I've owned the longest at this juncture, 6 or 7 years. But so it has some sentimental value. I've shot it quite a bit. Captured a lot of really important moments in my life on it. Done a lot of shots I really enjoyed, and it's kind of what I built myself up on when I was kind of first learning. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. We have the Commie Contax, the Kiev 4M. Ironically, straight out of 1984. Fits because we all know it's made in the USSR. So there she is with the Helios, a little bit better than the Jupiter. Someone told me this is based off a Leica design. I don't know if I believe that shit. If you know, though, where the design for the Helios lens came from, it being a, quote, 53. Is that what it says? 53? 5318. Let me know. I also read somewhere that the 53 measurement was taken at infinity focus, and it's a 50 at close focus, or maybe, I'm sorry, it's backwards. It's a 53 at close focus, but a 50 at minima? Infinity? 50 at infinity? 53? Fuck, I don't know. I'm confusing myself. Someone let me know what the skinny is on it being a 53 and not a 50. Maybe it just is a 53. Fuck, USSR, whatever, cool. Where do I begin on this thing? So let's do the history thing, because, it's not like it's been posted a trillion other times. So the Russians, the Soviets at the time, seized Contax operations from the Nazis, the Germans, back in at the end of World War II. And so just for some perspective here, since we want to play perspective games, so we all can see what a Kiev looks like. Lovely. Here is a Contax, or I love to say it with an accent like all those fancy websites have it, a Contax. My Contax is basically a $25 paperweight. Rewind spool, nyet. A little bit of fog up in that finder. Probably can't see that, but she's a little fucked. And the shutter on this is just, it's done. It's retired. So you can see it's pretty close. And one footnote, look at the bottom there, those keyways. Oh yeah, look at that. Pretty close to what we have here on the Zorky 4. Son of a bitch. So as you can see, there's a lot of similarities. And of course, the Kiev 4M has the Contax 3A style little meter adapted over to its body. A few changes. So we'll pull the back off our lovely Kiev. Don't think of this as cheaply made equipment. Think of it as a lovely Ukrainian model. Behold! And I had to pause because I had to cough. Not because I don't know how to fucking open a camera. And then again, and look at that. It has German herpes. It's ice bumps from those brass rivets oxidizing. People say the Kievs don't get it, but I know someone who has a Kiev from 1984 that's having these symptoms as well. So, backs off our camera. Let's take a look at them. Pretty fucking similar. This one has another little spool idler in it. This one don't. The Soviets cheapening it up. I believe up till 80 or 81, the Soviets did include that. And then our Kiev decided, yeah, the Kremlin's going bankrupt. We can look at the back of these cams as well. And if you get like a Kiev 2A, they're going to be a lot more similar than this. But you can see here, there's a Kiev back inside. And of course, it's set up to have the rewind spool built into that keyway. The original version, not so much. Clearly pretty fucking worn out. But that's okay. Cameras are meant to be used, not parked on shelves. Another interesting bit, while I put these cameras back together, is the M on the 4Ms is for modern, because they, of course, made that shutter dial a little bit more user-friendly as they saw it. And we'll take a look at that. One interesting thing with the Kiev, and I'll share my personal story while we're on this tangent, is the go speeds on the meter bit there. So what I did is I took a light meter at ISO 400 because that's about where I was going to be shooting most of the time, and just calibrated it to that so I knew it was on, and then just in my brain compensated for different film speeds. These also look a lot like what's on the bottom of my Contax, which I didn't bring to this party, but we'll see it one of these days. So the M, where on the older models you have, or the Contax, this type of wheel, they made it into this one piece kind of thing for visual. And of course, you do have to cock it before you fire it. These meters are deathly inaccurate. Mine worked for a while, and this is a good story. And of course, you can calibrate them with this little son bitch back there. Mine worked for a while, and then it quit. It just said, fuck it, I'm done. And it was starting to stick before that, and maybe, yeah, it's stuck again. You can see there. It's just kind of, the needle's hanging out there. And we can talk about how this -2 is -2 stops, -4, 4 stops, and the diamond means you're allegedly on exposure. Who really knows? So I have, and you'll notice I have a PC plug on here because I like that shit. I don't want shit in my holes. I don't want my pokey bits to get dirt in them. You never want to poke it in something dirty. But I was shooting with flash at a bar because we all take film cameras to bars when you're 20-something years old. And had it up here like this, and me thumbs over it, looking through it, bang, electricity comes from the flash into the hot shoe, which Contax never had, because, 30s versus 80s, which shows how great communist technology is. They're still building this, 50 years after it was completely antiquated in the 1980s, but it's a good machine, in my opinion. So voltage from flash comes into my hand, and motherfucker did that hurt. Son of a diddly, it zapped me. So I grabbed one of these, and I believe this is actually Contax official OEM equipment on this flash plug here. I worked at a camera shop at the time, and we had a fuckload of them. And, of course, digital came along, and no one bought shit for Contax in those years. This would be like 6-7 years ago. So, operationally, let's go through that. Because there's not a million videos on how to run these cameras already on YouTube. So, to fire it is pretty fucking easy. You see here. We just cock her up there. There we go. And then we fire it, and I'll hold it next to the microphone. Beautiful. The little lever here, button for the Zeiss grip. I don't do the whole Zeiss using your finger to move this shit, and someone's going to call me an asshole for doing it, and fuck them anyway. I just do this because it's much finer when you're up here. Much finer. Fucking hell. Much quicker when you're up here than fucking around with this little doodad. But yeah, and we have aperture blades here, which you can clearly see are oiled because, as we've learned, the Soviet Socialist Union built great shit. They're well renowned for their quality. Everyone knows that Ladas are amazing cars, and that the Soviet system is infallible. Bayonet mount lens, pretty cool. Pops right off, super easy, super nice. I know someone that has a 1980 version of this with the other lens, and it's built slightly rougher. People talk shit about these later models, how like, oh, fuck, they grind like a motherfucker. No, this one's actually a really smooth operator for being a 1984. I know someone with a 1980, and it does run a little rougher, and there's weird shit on it, like instead of an arrow on the top, there's like a dot, and then down here, it's the opposite. I don't know, fuck. A lot of people hate on this, and I'm not too fond of it either. The little rewind lever, like, oh, you're going to break that shit off right there. Fun fact, though, you can actually put in, and this is still OEM, and earlier models have a slightly shorter one, but you can fit up to here a Contax K1000 rewind knob or the Spotmatic, because most of us know Spotmatics and the K1000s were pretty much the same shit with a different mount and a few different circuits in the meter. Someone's going to bust me on them, but we all know that's true. So where do I wrap up with this? Because I really love this camera. I mean, I enjoyed. This was my introduction to rangefinders, and I still want a Contax 2A, but the Germans build shit so tight that it doesn't work. I mean, you know, it's just ridiculous. I lost my train of thought on that. I do love that the... Oh, and these self-timers, the same design that went into the Zorkies, I'm told. It still sounds... We'll cock it and fire it on a time shot. And just in case you don't know what to do, your comrades at the factory, put a little arrow on there. All right. What else am I remembering? There's a 1 or 2 second shutter if you put this on bulb and fire that as well. And I played with that. But that shit makes me nervous. Overall, as a user, and you'll see I have an example, the finder on this is pretty dark, not parallax corrected. But it's a fun beginner introduction camera. If you get one with a meter that works, cool. If not, whatever. If you want to get a non-metered one, that's cool. But I say risk it. Take the risk if the meter not working or not, or maybe you have to calibrate it in. If not, you know, it's a showpiece to be able to go, ha, look at me. Holy Jesus, there's a hidden door. So, yeah, go out and grab one. They take good images. I got some example ones coming up here. And I have a through the finder shot so you can see how dark this fucker is. And you're going to say probably at some point, like, you bitch about every rangefinder being dark, but you love rangefinders. I will show you that both the Zorky 4, which I fucking love and adore, even though I don't shoot it, and my Voigtlander Bessa R2A, which has a Jupiter, and is probably the reason I don't shoot the Zorky on it, are super, super, super bright. And those are kind of the high bar, but really this is kind of middle of the road for this kind of technology, clarity on viewfinders. And again, things I like about it too, if you're into the whole Cold War history, which I am, you know, you get the Cyrillic on the front and the Kiev logo, and on the back, the little Soviet stamp there. I've seen some with nothing here, that hole still. I've seen that patch before. I've seen all varieties. I think if there's any combination of Kievs that you could imagine of different mismatch features, they built a couple hundred of them. Because they turn these things out like rabbits fucked. One last thing before I forget on the tangent. We'll pull our focusing scale on here. And you will notice how those lines are. And we'll take our fucked up Comrade from Germany. Yeah. And notice they actually engraved numbers on that. And to another PS piece to this, as I wind this up, is I want to talk about, I actually do own 2 lenses for this camera. And this is a sharp, sharp lens. Don't let anyone talk shit about it. It's sharp. Fuck them if they talk shit about it. It's sharp. It's not like a Summilux, but it's sharp. This interesting piece, which as you can see, shipped from somewhere in Eastern Europe. Apparently had some tape over it at some point. Not made in Arsenal Kiev. See, it's got a KMZ mark on it. Where the Arsenal Kiev mark would be like this thing my finger's pointing at. Yes. So let's take a look here. We'll open up this Bakelite. Clearly high quality shit. It's chipped. But inside, lo and behold, we do have a Arsenal Kiev product. A 1962 35 2.8. Again, nicked directly from Zeiss. And this is a cool lens. I dig it. This goofy aluminum rear cap because that much of it sticks in the body. But why are we changing aperture up here? And there's no click stops. And I know that's common on older lenses, but holy Christ, that really messes with you. You got to pay attention. So that all to do. I spent enough time yakking about the commie Contax. Go out and check one out. It really is an experience, and if you really get into it and you really have the money, buy a Contax or get one CLA'd. I recommend an original Contax 2 if you can find one, or 3 because they're a little cheaper. Apparently people don't think this is pretty. And the 2As and 3As are completely different design, relatively similar, but they are known for shutter capping. I had 2 copies of 2As and one 3A that have shutter capped. Beautiful cameras, but really, if you're really thinking about getting an expensive collector piece RF, grab one of these just to have a go. I mean, you're gonna spend like $60 on it. If you drop it and it hits the ground and shatters, at least it's not old antique, super expensive German equipment, and you didn't spend $1,000 on it. That's all I've got for now. I'm going back to drinking beer. Fuck off. Go take photos.